Hey guys, Darren Asbury here with Revital Outdoors, bringing you another exciting podcast. Tonight, we're going to go to another brand new division this year. We're going to go to the Great Lakes Division. They have not started their tournaments this year, but they're fixing to kick that off with their first tournament on the Mississippi River and in just a few weeks. So we're going to talk to Mr. Nicholas Trim tonight. Nicholas got a top 5 finish at last year's first tournament, so very excited to talk to him and talk to him about the Mississippi River and the Great Lakes Division. Before we get started, Revital Outdoors is proud to announce we are doing a $2,500 giveaway to a lucky angler at the end of the year. That angler will be selected at the end of the year, and all you have to do is, let me put this banner up. So right below this video, at the top of the description, there's going to be a link. Click that link, type in all your information. It only takes 2 seconds, and then you'll be entered into the giveaway. Again, that is for $2,500, and that winner will be selected in the year. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't already. Check us out on Facebook and Instagram. That's Revital Outdoors. And if you've never heard of Revital Outdoors, we're a premium CBD company. We offer premium CBD products to all the outdoor enthusiasts out there. So make sure you check them out on our website. You can purchase them directly off our website. That's revitaloutdoors.com. And remember, our products are THC-free and made right here in America. That being said, let's go ahead and bring Nicholas right into the studio from the great state of Wisconsin. How you doing this evening, bud?
Doing great. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate you coming on the podcast. So, man, let's get right into it. Great Lakes Division, Mississippi River there in LaCrosse. Still probably experiencing some cooler temperatures at night, warming up fairly decent during the day. But what kind of stage are the fish in, first and foremost, before we get too far along?
So currently, we're actually just a couple days past when last year's first or opener and tournament was, and currently the fish have just started doing the migration. So they're really staging up heavy on points and on their way to their spawning grounds. So I was out 3 weeks ago and they weren't really there yet. They were still kind of holed up in their wintering spots. And last weekend I found some fish that had started making the venture towards spawning areas, and we're way behind this year. It's just been colder than average, and cold nights, snowing today. So
I got you. Well, let's talk about your tournament last year. Again, top 5 finish for that Great Lakes Division tournament. So tell us a little bit about what you put together and what were you able to find successful from last year.
So last year was one of those magical years. I'm a pool 7 guy. Everybody knows that, so I'm not going to hide it. And I practiced my tail off on pool 7, and it didn't go. And decided to make the switch to pool 9, and pool 9 went really well for me. And it was all staging stuff. Pre-spawn smallmouth was my game, and that's what I stuck to for the whole thing. And once I put a few things together on pool 9, I was able to run that pattern up on pool 8. And I had a heck of a bag. I just, I hate to blame it on execution, but man, I had a chance to win that tournament 4 times. And I had a 2.5 pounder that I weighed in that 17-pound bag, and I had a few that would have called up at least a pound. So I got you. But all staging stuff, big river stuff, that's what we fish around here for brown ones when they're getting ready to push up into the pockets. They were really close to spawning. In fact, I did fish for some spawning fish last year, but there was just a bunch of males that were in the area, and the females were just a few secondary points behind them on their way to the area. But when you found them, it was 30, 40, 50 fish without picking up the sticks.
Okay. So were you covering a lot of water and just fishing, pattern areas that you had found that, duplicate areas throughout the pool 7, or are you kind of a guy that just gets into one area that you can get a lot of bites and just hunker down in it?
I was running specific spots, 1 cast spots. Definitely not a fun co-angler tournament for my guy. He did all right, but it was strictly spots and casts. It wasn't areas. I am a type of guy that loves to get into an area, but it just this time of year and even for our BFL coming up on the 30th, it's not going to be an area thing, I don't think, unless for smallmouth. If you're on largemouth, for sure you can get into an area, and I don't know what's going to win. The warming trend's going to start this weekend, and it's going to carry through. I got a tournament on Sunday, and hopefully I can learn a lot before 30th. But I'm
Gotcha.
boatless right now, so that doesn't help.
I got you. I got you. So, are you throwing a lot of reaction baits like swim jigs, chatterbaits, the normal, Mississippi River breakdown crankbaits as well, or are you kind of changing up a little bit?
Yeah, I had I think I had 4 rods on the deck. It was a rattle trap, a jerkbait, a Carolina rig for when they got a little, after I picked them apart pretty good with everything else. And I threw a tube that day, just on a spin pole, something a little bit more finessey. It's not really a river tactic, but every once in a while you can trick a few of them fish that don't want to bite everything else into eating it. So, but that was
Okay.
my arsenal. I didn't make it. I didn't overthink it. I kept it really simple, and uh, in practice it was all rattle trap. And I think in the tournament, I caught just about all my fish on a jerk bait.
Okay. Okay. Are you targeting just smallmouth, just largemouth, or you got a mixed bag that you're going after?
So last year was a strictly smallmouth thing. I kind of want to keep it the same. I've weighed some monster smallmouth bags in spring off the river, and the cold nights don't seem to bother them. The largemouth game takes a little bit to get going on a cold morning. Um, so if I can, I'm going to stick to the smallmouth thing. It all kind of depends on what practice brings. But if it really warms up, I wouldn't be surprised to see some bedfish being caught on the 30th.
Okay.
I'm hoping a few slide up for them. That's for sure.
Right, right. So it sounds like guys can do pretty much anything. They can be up shallow flipping. They can be running a gun and throwing reaction baits. You just mentioned there could be some fish up bedding. So with that being said, let's back up a little bit. So there is sight fishing that can be had on the Mississippi River.
Yeah, so it's all dependent on the water levels. Right now, where the water's supposed to crest tomorrow at a little over 10 feet, and then it'll slowly drop down. I suppose it'll probably drop a couple feet by the time the BFL gets here on the 30th. So falling water, it just depends on how clean it is. At an 8 foot river, you're not going to look at a lot of them. Last year during the spawn, we had 5 or 6 foot rivers, so you could visually see them. There was about 3 feet of visibility, and you could go around and pick them off beds. It's a lot of fun, and you don't get to experience that a lot on the river. But once you learn the areas where they're at, you can still catch them, and you can still look at them in the right areas for sure. So that there is that. It doesn't happen like it does down south, but it does happen.
Okay, okay. In terms of this year versus last year, do you think about the same weight, or do you think it'll be a little bit better, or how do you think it's going to transfer to this year from last year?
I think we have a potential to see a mega bag this year on the river. One of those 21, 22 pound bags. It's just a simple fact. I thought we'd see it last year. I really did. I thought I had a chance of catching it, and we're so far behind this year. I'd say we're 2 weeks behind where we normally are at this time. So I think the fishing is going to fish just like it did last year, only 2 weeks later.
Okay, I got you. Last question before we let you go, Nicholas, and I really appreciate you coming to our podcast. What about as a co-angler going into this tournament? What would you have rigged up? I mean, I know that that's kind of all depending on what you draw and what your boater's doing, but if you were co-angler in this, you plan on taking 3 or 4 rods, what would you plan on taking?
Oh man, I get asked this by a lot of people, and I don't know. I haven't really figured out why, but I would say a Senko's got to be on your deck if you're a co-angler, just because I mean you can soak that thing out of the back of the boat and get bit, and there ain't a whole lot of fish that are going to swim by it, especially if you're in a spawning area. A Senko's always going to be a player. But, a chatterbait swim jig is tough to beat on the river. It's got to be in your arsenal. And if I had to pick a fourth bait, just because I love them, it's probably a jerk bait.
Okay, okay. And as far as color patterns, are you relating to the yellow perch pattern? Are you going for the bluegill, shad? What are they chasing that time of year?
So the muddy Mississippi, lives up to its name. A lot of times it's pretty muddy, and black and blue would be, if I had to pick a color, it'd be black and blue. I do like something with a little chartreuse in it if it's too dirty. Hard bait, I still like dark colors on the river. Black and gold's a really good one. If the water starts cleaning up a little bit, I'll throw something with a shad color to it. Uh, I won't get into super specifics on exactly colors and manufacturers, but because there's a few that are pretty specific up here. Um, but yeah, I mean, I play the water, and the water changes so much here. So, dark water, dark bait, and light water, a light bait.
Okay, I got you. I got you. So, well, Nicholas, really appreciate you coming on to our podcast again. For all the listeners out there, top 5 angler from the Great Lakes Division, Mississippi River tournament last year. That first tournament's coming up again in a couple of weeks. Before we let you go, I know you got a lot of people that support you, a lot of great sponsors, family, everything. Anybody you'd like to give a shout out or a thank you to before we let you go?
Dude, there's a bunch of them that kind of keep me in the game. And Intune Marine, I just partnered up with them this year and ordered my new Phoenix through them. Like I said, I'm boatless, but that thing should be landing anytime now. And Brian up there has been awesome to deal with. Fitzgerald Rods have been helping me out for a long time now. TNT Tackle is a local guy that makes some just probably the best buzz bait I've ever used. A bunch of good jigs and spinner baits and stuff like that. He's been really good to me. Atomic Jerseys is always keeping us looking good on the water. Family and friends, of course, because they're the ones that make the upstairs keep going when they're texting and rooting you on. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Nicholas, thank you for coming on our podcast. Before we let everybody go, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't already. Also, you see the rotating banner below. Make sure you get into our $2,500 giveaway sweepstakes. That's going to be that lucky angler is going to be selected at the end of the year. All you have to do is hit the link at the top of the description right below this video. So make sure you get that done before you let us go. Again, as always, I'm Theron Asbury. Thank you for tuning into this podcast. Be safe out there. God bless. And we'll talk to everyone on the very next podcast.